Am I live? Right. Can everybody hear me? I want to know who's joining me and whether I'm actually live. If you could please comment and tell me where you're joining me from and whether you can hear me and see me. Okay. Well, I hope everyone is having a good day. Please let me know if the audio and video are coming through, because I cannot really tell from here, and this is the first time I'm doing this. Okay, brilliant. So you can hear me. Thank you, Matt. Matt, would you mind being my helper? Because apparently I'm being streamed on multiple platforms and I'm not really sure what's happening, but let's see. I'm doing this to basically push myself, and also because I'm too lazy to write down the answers for a lot of the questions that I've received. So I just thought maybe it's better to come on and basically just answer the questions. No video. I think there was video. Can everyone? Yeah, Matt has video. Very good. So I'll just check one last time. Okay. So I think you can see the video and audio. You look young though. Yeah, I am young. What are you talking about? Right. So back to what we were saying. This is just for me, to basically answer the questions that I've received. And a lot of these questions are around careers in engineering, electrical engineering careers. So thank you for joining me. And I'll try to pick the most repeated questions, or the ones that, are recurring and a recurring theme. And multiple people send me these questions on Substack, where I write my newsletter, and on also LinkedIn. So we'll see how it goes. And as always, if you have any questions, please just send them to me via the chat, and I can see some of the messages here in the chat. So thank you so much for joining me. If you wouldn't mind just letting me know where are you joining me from, and what are you doing, what kind of role, just really quickly, very short sentences in the chat, and we will start straight away. And again, if you do have any questions, just write them down. A lot of, maybe some of you might ask, why am I doing this? Well, I like to help others, and also it's a good way to push myself and grow. And public speaking is something that I've enjoyed doing for a very long time, and it does help you in your career. So I would advise everybody to really do it and try to share that information. And we need to normalize this. We need to talk a lot more about careers. And dare I say it, with AI, there's a lot of advice out there, a lot of frameworks, and some of it is good. A lot of it is repeated stuff that is really not applicable in real life, in real careers. So it's really important for us to try to dissect what actually works and what doesn't in engineering. And again, I don't claim that I know everything. We're trying to figure out and make sense of things together, and we all learn from each other. So I encourage everyone to really share the knowledge. So I'll see the chat. So we've got people from Saudi Arabia, welcome, from France, working in offshore wind farms, and from Pakistan. So welcome everyone. Okay, so if anybody has a question, please drop it in the comments. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start, because we are, hopefully not gonna spend a long time talking. But I'm gonna jump straight ahead and hopefully you can see the questions pop up on the screens. So the question that I get is, how important is LinkedIn, and is LinkedIn really important? I think, in my opinion, it's 100% important, and this is not just the facts and the numbers. So the numbers say that I don't know, there are millions of people being hired on LinkedIn. There's this and that. But in my personal experience, the last 3 jobs I had over the last 10 years were through LinkedIn in some way or another. And 2 of these jobs were actually internal jobs within the same company that I've worked in before. But I did find about them on LinkedIn and applied, of course, internally after finding out about them on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a very good place. I know that a lot of people think it's cringy and feel it's too much. I get that. But at the same time, it's a very good place to get a lot of information. A lot of people pay money to read publications, and there is a lot of good sources that summarize the information or news from those publications on LinkedIn. So it's a very, very good source of information for you. And it would take you forward if you, in your career, of course, if you spend good time trying to go through the good information that you can find online on LinkedIn, and through the reliable sources that you could follow and interact and engage with on LinkedIn. So I think LinkedIn is very important for engineers, and not to mention the career prospects it has. And as I told you, people land jobs through LinkedIn, and they do that on a daily basis. It's no secret at all. Recruiters, headhunters, they do use LinkedIn as their number one tool to find the right candidates, to recruit people, to talk to candidates, and basically get them to apply to jobs or offer them jobs. So I personally know engineers who are contacted at least once, sometimes twice a week. I know it's crazy, but that's the kind of, if you have the right experience, if you've articulated your experience correctly on LinkedIn, you would really, really find good results with, using your profile in that way. Okay. So for me, the short answer is very important. You need to invest some time and effort and even money to learn how to get your LinkedIn profile right, because it's your personal brand. And that means a lot in this day and age. It's very, very important in the, business as it is today. So let's see if we've got any questions. Any questions so far? Okay, we have some graduates. That's very good. People working in National Grid. That's good. And digitalization, power sector is electric. What are the skill set needs to be developed by electrical engineer? Yeah, that's one of the questions I get asked also a lot, and I've got that in towards the end of the video. Okay, there's a lot of skills, of course, but if you read the research out there and the reports out there, and they do a lot of surveys, and a lot of the surveys out there indicate that the number one skill required by employers in 2024, 2025 is analytical thinking. Now, this makes sense because everything stems from analytical thinking, especially if you're in an engineering role. That does make total sense. But I would say there are new skills as well, newer skills. In terms of digital transformation, there's a lot of skills to be covered there and to learn about there. Data visualization, AI agents, regenerative AI, of course, and I would say AI applications in SharePoint. So how do you, apply project management methodologies in SharePoint using AI? So that's a skill set that is going to dominate, I believe, because I don't know, 99% of businesses out there depend on, the Office tools and SharePoint, etc., and Microsoft Teams. So there is a lot of skills to be learned there. But of course, there are digital skills within each and every speciality. So, if we talk about digital substations, there is, substation automation and digital substation skills to be learned there. So there's a lot of, skills specific for each and every discipline. Okay, and another question I get is how to optimize my LinkedIn profile to get a better job opportunity. I think having a professional photo is very important. So at least a professional looking photo. It doesn't have to be taken by a professional photographer, if that makes sense. But having a photo that looks professional and looks, doesn't look weird or, like vague is very important. I think this makes a difference psychologically for people. And the most important thing, of course, is your skills and your experience. They have to be articulated properly. And you could search on Google or YouTube, but for how the recruiters see LinkedIn, well, if recruiters have got the recruiter cockpit, for a subscription, of course, on LinkedIn, and most recruiters use that, you could see how it works. And they actually find candidates through the algorithm. So the algorithm will match the candidates who have the skills that match the job opening or ad that they have or they search through. So that's how it works. So it's very important to know which jobs you're targeting and which opportunities you're looking after or you're looking for, and how to get the right skills on those opportunities. Okay. How do people get into generation, transmission, or distribution sectors? It depends. So if you're an entry level, so let's say you're a graduate. First of all, there are apprentices, especially in the UK. So you could go down the apprenticeship route, which is a very good route. And a lot of people go down that route, and it's brilliant, especially the one that offers you to do the degree part-time. So in, I don't know, 3 to 5 years, you get the bachelor's degree in engineering. That's brilliant. And next to that, you get the hands-on experience in the business. So that's a very good route, and that will be my recommended route if you are a young person looking to enter this field. And if you're a graduate, whether it's electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, or civils engineering, I think that the best thing to do is to liaise with your early careers managers, whether they are in the university. So these people would be actually talking to the companies and to the industry and finding placements for the students that they think would make good candidates. And the other thing is, there's nothing wrong with trying to apply for jobs and making sure that you practice graduate assessment panels, interviews, and things like that. And also, in addition to building your skill set and experience through courses and volunteering experiences, working placements, etc., etc. Okay, do we have any other question? Right, we've got some good questions coming through, but they are all similar to the ones I've got, so I'll get to them. People ask me what are the best jobs in electrical transmission. I think there's a lot of good jobs out there, brilliant, and in my opinion, they're all really good. But that question is really dependent on what do you enjoy, because the best job for me is the best job that I would enjoy, and one that would give me good and maximum experience I could get out of my time that I invest working in this company. So that would be my opinion. So I would say, know yourself and try to understand what do you actually enjoy, because what you enjoy doing is the thing that most probably will end up being, what you excel at or what you're good at and what you're known for. So that would be the number one factor for me. And the second thing, of course, is the experience. And, when you get experience, it means a lot of things later on. It means a lot. It means money. It means, authority. It means a lot of things later on in your career. So it really depends. The answer to this question really depends on where you are in your career. If you are midway, let's say, through your career, then your circumstances will drive that factor more. Whether you have like a family to support, whether you want to, you've got a lifestyle that you need to sustain. So that's then more for you to think about the money and the benefits that you get out of it. And of course, work-life balance is a very, very big topic today, whatever that looks like for every and each person. Okay, and our next question is, I have got 2 job offers, one in a company. Of course, we've removed the personal or confidential information, and another company in a different country. Okay, so you're comparing between 2 job offers, which is a great thing. Congrats. That means you're a good engineer, and you're doing well. That's brilliant. I'm happy for you. No one can answer this question for you, unfortunately. I know it's a tricky question, and I've been there before, but nobody would be able to answer that question for you. You're going to have to answer it yourself. But what I would do is really think about, again, where do I want to be in the next maybe 3 to 5 years. And I try not to think really long ahead or really ahead of time. Excuse me, because there is a lot of ebbs and flows in business anyway, and in life, especially in a career that is dependent, or let's say is working on projects. There are a lot of things that might happen, and there are a lot of changes that might come, and most of the changes are outside of our control. That's just a given. So I wouldn't think too much about the future, but in the same time, I would compare in terms of the duration of term of that job. Is it a longer term placement, or is it a fixed contract, let's say? I would think, you were asking me about 2 different countries, and a lot of people, fall into, let's say, this dilemma of choosing between, whether I go, to country A or country B. And again, you could reach out to the people who are living in these countries, who are working in different places, and ask them for their opinions. But always remember that anybody's opinion is from their point of view. So it might not be the same case for you, and it might be really not comparative to your situation, because everyone's situation, everyone's circumstance is completely different, or slightly different, I would say. So it really differs. It really depends on a lot of factors. But again, for me, I really look for experience. I look for something that grows me as a human and as a person, and grows my career and takes me forward. That's what I'm looking for. And of course, the money has to be right, because I have a family, and I have to look after myself, and I have a lifestyle. I have a a work-life balance that I don't want to upset. So again, all these things are factors that you need to list and compare the 2 jobs against each other when it comes to each of these factors. I hope I'm not going too fast. We have a question here saying, do you think the barrier to entry for power system roles is more difficult in the UK compared to other countries and related electrical engineers T&D roles? If so, do you think this might be due to the cost of software licenses in the West? No, the UK is brilliant when it comes to apprenticeships and graduate programs, and I think over the last 10 years I've been here, the whole industry is shifting, and it has been shifting the last 10 years in that regard. But there is a lot more acknowledgement that they need to bring in the young talent and the next generation of engineers. So there's a lot of companies out there that are getting apprentices and training graduates, and we do as well in Aureus. So no, I don't think the barrier to entry for power system roles is more difficult in the UK. There is a lot of the UK industry, energy industry, and power systems industry is booming. There's a lot of companies that are thriving, and a lot of people, a lot of engineers setting up companies and doing a brilliant job. And it's a really, really exciting landscape to be in. Another question. Sorry, I'm just, because it's coming through on a feed on my screen, and I'm new to this. This is my first. I'm doing this for the first time. And by the way, hats off to every like content creator and anybody who does LinkedIn lives. And honestly, it's a huge effort, especially if they're doing it on their own. So LinkedIn is a shop window giving people a glimpse of knowledge, skills, and experience. Let me put this on the screen. So Chris says LinkedIn is the shop window, giving people a glimpse of your knowledge, skills, and expertise. So one of the first places a recruiter, headhunter, and in some cases hiring manager will search when looking to hire engineers, and it's your first opportunity. Okay, it's a long comment, so I'll read the rest of it from here. It's the first opportunity to share, showcase what you're all about. Sorry, from here, I got lost in the message. It was that long. You can entertain any outreach that is of interest, and it's through the up dialogue that you can share more about your experience and motivation. Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of people are getting into this now, and there has been like recruiters that have been doing this for a long time, so they know what they're doing and they know their way around LinkedIn, etc. But more and more recruiters are getting into the LinkedIn game, and I think that the good companies or the clever companies out there are basically getting recruiters who can, do that on LinkedIn and drive and operate the algorithm, if that makes sense. Because there is a bit that I don't find, or I don't like, which is the machine telling me who's good and who's not. I don't like that part. I know it's part of life and that's part of the job, but at the same time, I don't leave it up to the machine or up to the algorithm to tell me that. And that's the same with any good recruiter. I think good recruiters would not leave it up to the algorithm to just, tell them who's worthy of a conversation and who isn't. I don't think they do that. And that's why these recruiters end up with the right people. They end up hiring the good engineers. There's a lot of questions. That's good. It's good. It's good to have, it's good to have a lot of interaction. I don't know how many people are watching on LinkedIn. It doesn't show me. And it doesn't show me on YouTube as well. So if you can see, just, let me know in the comments. Not that it matters, but I can see a lot of questions. If we're moving to digitalization and AI, just a second, let me remove this question of mine and get back to your questions then. If we're moving to digitalization and AI, then most of our logic schemes are reduced. Most of the interlocking of done software and developing software skills is very important. Yeah, that's correct. And a lot of countries have already gone down the route of 61850. It's not a new thing. That's the digital substation protocol, of course, substation automation protocol. And IEC 61850 with 9-2. Again, I mean, 61850 itself has been around, I don't know, for maybe 20, 25 years now. So it's not a new thing anymore. And that's what makes it exciting for a lot of the Western countries, which have not yet migrated fully and upgraded its infrastructure. So there is a lot of work to be done in terms of automation and upgrading of infrastructure. Sorry. Which skills do you recommend for the fresh electrical engineer to learn to get jobs in the UK? So if you're a fresh electrical engineer in the UK, you probably need, as I said, I answered this question earlier. You need to look at, working on your interviewing skills, on your graduate assessment panel skills, get to a lot of networking events with early careers managers, and, reach out and make sure you connect with your university liaison So there is going to be like an early careers or careers placement liaison in every university, and the UK is a good place to go to university. And if you're outside of the UK, well, if you're outside of the UK, it's really difficult to find a job in the UK because you need sponsorship for that. But what people do is they come and study in the UK, and then they get a graduate visa, and they get then sponsored through that. So there is that. But if you're already in the UK, then that's not a problem. And I think that there is a lot of jobs out there for graduates in the UK if they, in certain industries and sectors, of course. Another question is saying, how do you compare the UK market and Irish market for electrical engineers? Where is better from your point of view regarding salaries, work-life balance, life standards? I'm sorry, I haven't been to Ireland. I've never been. I mean, I don't know much about the Irish market. Maybe someone watching that knows can help you with that. But from what I know, they're really similar. And the good thing about Ireland is that you have, the access to Europe as well. So there is probably a lot more opportunities out there. But I'm not sure, to be honest, because I haven't worked in the electrical industry in Ireland, only in the UK and in other countries. What are future projects in HVDC interconnector projects in the UK? Yeah, there's a few of them. So I will talk about HVDC in my next newsletter. So I do have a newsletter on Substack. Please check it out. And let's go back to the questions, which are, what future opportunities are in electrical engineering? Well, I think there's very, very good opportunities in commissioning. So I know a lot of people shy away from site-based roles, but I think, site-based roles are very, very, very critical. And companies will pay good money for good people with the right experience levels. So I think there is a lot of future there. So if you're an engineer and you learn, the secrets of the trade, as they say, on site, and you know your stuff, and you know how to commission, let's say, a certain part of the system or a system, that's a very, very good job to be in. And there is a lot of, I know in the beginning to learn, there's a lot of traveling with it, so it's not maybe the easiest of jobs, or not for everyone. But later on, when you gain the right experience and you are a person or an engineer who is really valued by these companies and looked after, let's say, or looked to be hired more and more, then there is a lot of scope for freedom there. I see them like having very, very good careers. There is also future in design for sure, and the barrier to entry is going to be lowered with the AI or generative AI applications and agent AI applications. So I'm excited to see that as well. And of course, the future opportunities are in battery energy storage. They are in nuclear as well. Nuclear electricity is coming, I think, in the next maybe 5 to 6 years. It's going to come back to the agenda. And also renewables, of course, it's no secret. HVDC. There is a lot of specialities. There is a lot of specialities today. It's a really, really exciting market to be in. What skills to learn in 2025? So we said analytical thinking, AI, in terms of generative AI applications and agent AI applications. And I think, to be specific, how AI is used in data visualization and let's say collecting KPIs. So there are a lot of business applications that we have to learn when it comes to using AI in the infrastructure of a business. So these are also good skills to learn. But if you're also a graduate, then you have to make sure you learn CAD, whether it's AutoCAD or Bentley MicroStation or whatever. But you have to have that in your skill set. And on top of that, 3D design as well, BIM design, or let's say BIM, tools are very, very important to learn. So these are the important skills to learn if you're starting out. And if you're experienced, as we said, the AI and others. Will AI take engineering jobs? I don't think so. I think AI is going to drive more engineering jobs, especially in the electrical engineering industries. There are going to be the need for more data centers and more grid connections, and subsequently, there is going to be the need for more engineers. And I think eventually AI will probably help a lot of engineers achieve more, hence needing less engineers, let's say. But it's not going to actually take or completely, eliminate engineering jobs. I don't think so. I don't really think so. I don't see it happening. What are the average salaries of electrical engineers? In which country? In which I have a problem with this question because, and I get it a lot on my comments. People come raging into my posts and ask about salaries, average salaries, and compare them to other professions. And look, all these average calculations are basically surveys, okay? And you have to know something about surveys. They are, first of all, they are not selective, but they are limited, very, very limited when it comes to looking at, a certain demographic, let's say, or part of the industry. So when we talk electrical engineers, we were talking about electrical engineering across manufacturing, across energy, across, operation, maintenance, site-based, office-based. There's different countries. So let's focus on one country, in the UK. But to say, the average salary of an electrical engineer is this, I think that's a good metric to look at, but it's not good for us as individuals to look at that. Instead, I would really want you to focus on actually finding out what the salary of someone with the current level of experience, like yourself, in this kind of industry, let's say, that the one you're in, whatever that industry is. So you find out how many years, how many years of experience you've got. You kind of know, where you are in the organization in terms of like the hierarchy, let's say. And you also know which industry you're in, okay? And based on all these factors, in addition to other factors, you can form an idea of, okay, this is where I am. And then that benchmark for yourself becomes the thing that you actually find out, what ranges of salaries for that kind of like level should be. Yeah. So you can find that out from different websites, on LinkedIn as well. There's a way to find out that on LinkedIn, and hopefully one day I'll make a video about it. But there is a way to find out like the ranges of salaries. And this is a very emotive question, because I know for a fact that, engineers, let's say in the energy construction industry, are paid more than in the manufacturing industry. I don't know, maybe that's the case. So, in order to just say a number and compare to that number is not the right thing to do at all. And I personally think there's nothing to hide about salaries when it comes to talking with recruiters or hiring managers. There's nothing wrong with that. For me, there is a taboo about it, of course, but for me, if you're coming for an interview, it's very normal to ask about your salary. It won't be normal to be the first thing to ask about, but you know what I mean? So at some point, at the right point in the conversation, you're going to ask about salary. That's your right. That's why we work, to get paid. So it's very normal. But I think go to these sites and find out about the ranges of salaries for people of your caliber, of your number of years of experience, and know the range. Talk to recruiters. So again, there is a lot of good recruiters out there. I'm not just saying that, but there is very, very good people in recruitment and people who know their stuff, and they would know, and they wouldn't, because the recruiter wouldn't. I don't think a recruiter would lie to you, because it's in their interest for you to be paid more. Okay, so it might be the other way around. So they would really, as recruiters, tell you, well, this is the range for your salary. And that's why I advise anybody asking that question to not focus on an average number. Don't do that. Instead, find the range that is right for you. And then you have to also know that, there is a lot of factors in there. So there's does your manager, or, the hiring manager, or whoever is, that person is, have the authority and the autonomy to, move things around in a salary? What's the salary structure of a company? What kind of company is it? What what's their profit? What's their profitability like? What's their performance like? What kind of industry are they in? So these are a lot of factors that affect how much people are paid in a certain role. So I'm against really asking and comparing, but I think that in order to do that, it's more of a research thing. So you need to research the range and make sure that you know what you're talking about when you're demanding, let's say, a raise, or negotiating an offer, or whatever it is. There's nothing wrong with learning how to do that the right way, because I think, and I've found in the past, that making sure that you're factual and reasonable and prepared will get you the best outcomes all the time. Okay. There's a lot more questions. I thought we were going to finish in half an hour, but okay. I have no problem in staying longer. I mean, how can I find a job in the UK? Any platform for hiring for a different country? Okay, so people come to the UK, I think, as engineers in three main ways. Okay, let me just take that away, because that's a question I get asked a lot. How do engineers come to the UK? Okay, in three main ways, in my opinion and in my experience, and majority of engineers that come from the outside of the UK have been on these three ways. The three ways that I know of, anyway. Number one is people come to study, so they come for a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, and they do really well. And they get a graduate visa. And the reason I say they do well, because when they're on a graduate visa and they are really, really genuinely good candidates, companies will snatch them. Okay. So there's a lot of companies that are hiring graduates, as we said, and a lot in the energy industry. So when you're a graduate with high results, with a good caliber, etc., promising, prospect, they will take you, and then they will hire you, and you'll get a graduate visa. I don't know how long, I can't remember. I'm not a visa expert, but you can, again, there is a lot of visa solicitors and people out there or immigration solicitors who can advise on these things. And again, they can tell you. But on that graduate visa, you then excuse me, you then work with the company, and again, over that period, whether it's 2 years, I think, or less, if you prove yourself and you are considered an asset, they won't simply let you go. They would just keep you and sponsor you. So that's the first path. The second path is really good engineers with really good experience and skill set and good, communication skills. They know English, and they can speak, very well in English. They can articulate things. They've got like good CVs with, excellent projects in other countries. these people are good candidates no matter where they are, whether they're in the UK or outside. It doesn't matter. So companies will, again, I think a lot of these companies will sponsor a good engineer. There's no problem about it, because companies always need good engineers and good people. So that's the second way. And the third way is an internal transfer. So you could work for a company for a number of years, and that company is a multinational company. And this is the route that I actually came to the UK through. So I worked for a company called ABB, which is called Hitachi Energy now. And I worked with them in Saudi Arabia, and I got a job in the UK. And, they offered me a job also in another country, but I chose the UK. So I moved to the UK, working for the same company. And one project led to the next, one job and role next led to the next. And here I am 10 years later. But that's the three routes that I know of. Okay. And these are the three routes for the good engineers. So if you are in a company, or let's say if you are outside of the UK and you really want to try the experience of the UK projects, etc., okay, you can try that by working in companies that have got branches in the UK. All right. Good evening. How much potential do you see for primary design engineers in the future? Asking for myself, as I'm fresh in the substation primary design. Yeah, there's gonna be great future for primary design engineers, and good primary design engineers are worth a lot. And they get, the way I say it, they get the highest salaries in design. Primary engineers who are really good and know their stuff, they are at the core of every substation, especially in a country like the UK, where the land is not easily acquired, or it's not easily available. There's always challenges in terms of building a substation on land in the UK. So primary engineers, they are the clever ones. They know how to put together. It's like a Lego or a Meccano, so they know how to put together the substation to fit that area, to fit that land with the constraints, to make sure there is an access road, to make sure there is the right clearances. So primary design engineers who know their stuff, they are on another level, my friend. Okay. And they know themselves. Maybe some of them are listening out there, but they won't share with the rest of us how they're doing. I'm just kidding. There's a lot of them that are really good. Okay. Do you have any tips on getting placements, internships in electrical engineering in the UK? Yes. Again, I think I answered that question, but it's a good one, so I'll answer it again. You need to liaise with your university career liaison or person who's in charge, and you could also work on a good profile in terms of like the training courses, the placements, or sorry, the previous volunteering, let's say, and other extracurricular activities during university time, and work on your profile, and then reach out to the early careers managers. So in every company that does that, they will have an early careers manager or somebody in charge of these placements. And you could reach out to hiring managers as well, in terms of placements. Reach out to HR managers or recruiters. So a lot of companies would be more than happy to offer placements, and some of them also pay for these placements. They pay the students, so or the interns. So it's something that is encourageable. What's the best thing I can do on LinkedIn as a first year electrical engineer undergraduate student studying at Newcastle Uni? You shouldn't be on LinkedIn if you're still studying. No, I'm joking. Just trying to follow, good, let's say, reliable sources and learn from them. There's a lot of people out there who talk about what's happening in the energy space, what's happening in projects, and it's good to follow these examples and study for yourself. Again, find out what you would like to be doing once you graduate from uni. What is it that you enjoy? Are you really into design, or are you into coordinating people, let's say, so as a lead engineer or a design coordination manager, let's say, or would you really be interested in project management? Do you like numbers? Do you want to be in the finance sides? So there's a lot of when you're a graduate or when you're still in uni, it's a lot of prospects. It can feel overwhelming, but focus on one thing, because again, um, I think the best job you could get in the beginning is the one you get. Okay, so and maybe people could disagree with me, but I'm a person who's changed direction early in their life a couple of times, and it hasn't. I don't think it's done me any harm. So I actually studied mechanical engineering at university, and then after a year decided to change again to electrical. And I always thought I would end up in project management, but I'm not in project management now. I wanted to go into sales. I'm not in sales now. So there's a lot of things that could change when you're a young engineer, and that's not a problem. It's a good thing. It's not, try to focus on what you enjoy, and try as many things as possible to find out whether you could be trying something different. That's the exciting bit about it. And in your first year, try to find a placement. Make sure that you network with early careers managers and careers liaisons, and study the industry that you're gonna get into. Find out who the big players are. Find out when do they recruit graduates. Is it in September time or is it in December time? Try to practice graduate assessment panels. Try to practice interviews. Get a good CV writer. I mean, a lot of people like to write their own CVs, which is fine. That's not a problem. But if you can afford it, get a specialist. Somebody who writes graduate CVs, for instance. So find that person in your sphere or in your. I'm sure, a lot of people at your uni will know who that person is, or who these people are. So again, get in touch with them, get a CV written, and then add to that CV in terms of volunteering, in terms of other activities that you could undertake as a student, in terms of courses. There is a lot of that you can learn everything online now. So there's nothing really stopping someone from being as prepared as they could be for an interview. Okay, are the UK using IEC standard or any other British standard for engineering and design? Okay, that's a technical question. Good. Yeah, so they're using IEC, they're using British standards, and some also clients are using, all sorts, American standards, German standards. I mean, German and British standards are part of the IEC as well, so under the European standards, if you like. But there are British standards that are separate to the European standards. And it really depends on the project. It depends on the client as well. So if you talk about, typical, let's say, British clients, then they are going to follow the British standards and a lot of the IEC standards. But some developers and some clients have other preferences. Okay. And do you know follow? Yeah, good. There's a lot of discussions around standards. Okay. This call is not about standards and specifications. So calm down. UK are listed with large proportion of journalists, so how do they maintain grid stability? No, that's a big question. That needs researching. That does. Updated watch can connect with professional read watch. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much. I've started incorporating 3D rendering. Okay, good. Right, so I think we are. I got just one last question about chartership. So people ask about chartership as well. I think it's important. I think in some industries, chartership is important. It's a prerequisite for some of the roles. So for example, with Network Rail, you cannot be a contract engineering manager until you're a chartered engineer. and I can't remember if even a CRE needs chartership. If somebody knows, just write in the comments, please. But there are certain roles that will require chartership, and I think from what I know and from what I've seen, chartership is good because it helps you practice how to articulate your experience, how to talk about your skills, how to talk about your experience, how to be really a better articulative engineer, if that makes sense. Because a lot of us engineers are not really good at communicating, but I'm generalizing, of course, here, so apologies. But yeah, talking about yourself is not something that we engineers do, because we usually work as part of teams and we focus on the problem and the solution, and we love the details, But talking about our experience is very important. It can make a difference in, putting you further or pushing you further in your career. Plus, as I said, the chartership can be a differentiator for some roles. It's a prerequisite. And one last point about chartership as well is that if let's say you've got two candidates and they are really the same with everything, but one of them is chartered and one of them is not, most likely the hiring managers will pick the chartered one. Okay. And the last question is, how do I get mentorship? Well, I think close one-to-one mentorship is something that needs, like, a special arrangement. Let's say that people have to have the time and they have to sit down and think about like a career plan, and there is a lot of like discussions. But look, you can ask me questions anytime. uh, I've got a Substack newsletter, so I write about on what I've discussed today and what I've mentioned and a lot of the things that I read. So I read a lot, and I'm following a lot of people that give out good information about the industry, and a lot of people who talk about the industry and where it's heading. And I'm really interested in projects in energy in general. I'm really interested in businesses in energy in general and in careers, of course, as you can tell. So I do read all this and summarize and give my point of view or what I think about it in my newsletter. So if you have questions, please follow me on or subscribe on Substack, where you can actually connect with me, because LinkedIn is a social media platform at the end of the day. So it's really, so this video, I don't think this video will be on LinkedIn, but I will save the recording on Substack so that people on my Substack can watch and maybe ask further questions if they like. But LinkedIn is a very limited, short attention span kind of interaction. So there is not much, I would say, long-term value in having a short interaction with a video or something like that. I think, yes, it's important and it's good to drive the intrigue and interest, but at the same time, these things, career planning and career progression is something that needs a conversation, and it needs really studying a number of things. You have to know yourself, you have to know your character and your situations and circumstances, and everyone's different. And again, with online advice in general, please remember that people see things through their own eyes, so everything is reflected in their personal views, their background, what they've been through, and their experiences in their careers. So always take it with a pinch of salt and always compare different point of views. Keep an open mind to things. Okay, and before we go, let's check one last time on the chat. Thank you so much, everyone. And if you have any questions, as I said, please send them on LinkedIn or on Substack. And until then, enjoy, take care, have a nice evening, and thank you.